If you guys can see my screen and hear me okay, great. If not, let me know by raising your hand or putting a comment in the question box. If you do not know who I am, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Bree Shirley. I am the social media coordinator, digital marketing coordinator for Tucker. And we do these fun little social media Mondays about once a month, I think, with Christy and Lissa. And we have all different kinds of social media topics. And today we are covering Social Media Engagement 101. So this is going to be pretty basic. We're not really going to dive into details on how to get more engagement, how to increase that engagement. We're really just going to talk about what it is and why you need it and why it's important. So that way when you leave here, you know what engagement is, and then we encourage you to come back next month for Social Media Engagement 102 or 102, I think. And that's when we're really going to dive in and talk about how to increase your engagement, what Facebook and Instagram deems as engagement, because it's not just, probably what you think it is. So we will talk all about that next time. This time is just going to be a little bit more basic. So it's going to be a pretty short one. If you have questions, you all are muted. So if you have questions, just pop them into the question box or raise your hand and we can comment back to you. But otherwise, we'll get started. Okay, so engagement, what is it? So in terms of social media, engagement is interacting with your friends, family, followers via comments and likes on their posts. Notice I said comments because likes do not equal engagement. And I've had a lot of people say, oh my gosh, did you see how many likes that post got? And I even do it too, because let's be honest, when you get a post that has over 100 likes, it's pretty exciting. However, if that's all you're getting on your post are likes and no comments, it's not helping your engagement, and Facebook isn't deeming that as, ooh, she gets really good engagement. So keep that in mind. So likes do not equal engagement. You have to comment too. Notice I said too. So I would always still like a post. When you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, I would always like it, but don't just do that. You need to be commenting as well. Instagram and Facebook reward engagement, or they reward interaction. So if you're leaving comments consistently on posts, the more comments, the better engagement, the more people that will see your posts, etc. So you really want to be giving comments as much as you can throughout the day, every single day. That way, in turn, Facebook and Instagram will push your post out further to more of your friends and your followers, your friends, and then you'll in turn get more comments and engagement on your post. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. So if you aren't giving engagement, like commenting on posts, the likelihood of you getting a ton of engagement on your post is very slim. Now, I say that because I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram, and that still doesn't mean every single time I post, I'm going to get comments. Like, you're still going to have that ebb and flow of where you post and you get crickets. Everybody has that. It is what it is. It could be time of day. It could be the content of the post. It could be, there just really aren't that many people scrolling through Facebook at that time. So there's a whole bunch of other other issues that come into play when you're posting that are kind of out of your control. However, if you are engaging on Facebook and Instagram on a daily basis, a couple times a day, the likelihood of you getting at least a couple comments on every post are pretty high. But like I said, there will always be, those posts that you might get a ton of likes, but you might not get any comments, and that's okay. And I encourage you to ignore that and just keep going, because just because you have one post that gets crickets doesn't mean, the rest of them that week will have nothing as well. So we found this morning on a social media, another real estate blog. So without an open conversation with your fans, then you won't be able to convert anyone into a qualified lead. Meaning, I'm taking it as when you're not in conversation with your friends, family, followers, your fans, there's nothing to convert there. So they might be liking a post, but if they're not commenting and you're not responding back, and then they're not responding back, you're not creating any conversation with them. Is that kind of how you took it too? Okay.
There's nothing to build upon. You can't build upon just a thumbs up.
Right. So if somebody's just liking or loving a post, and I want to say that I practice what I preach 100% of the time, and I don't. You all know that because I get in these slumps too where I'm mindlessly scrolling Facebook in the morning or at night, late at night, in the middle of the night if I can't sleep, and I'm forgetting that I really need to be commenting as well, because if I'm just mindlessly scrolling, liking posts, it's not helping me. It's actually a waste of my time if I'm trying to build a business. If you're just on Facebook just to, stay in touch with friends, family, and people that you may know, then that mindlessly scrolling and liking is okay. But if you're trying to build a business like we all are, you can't do that. You have to be intentional with your scroll and your engagement. Ooh. So at the end of the day, you can't fully control the amount of engagement you receive. This is kind of what I touched on earlier. Sometimes there will be posts, even with your consistent engagement, when you don't have many comments and likes, and that's okay. You can't stop you can't stop there. You can't say, I didn't get any engagement on that post. What if people think it's dumb? Really, they may not have just seen it. Like that post could not have been pushed out to very many people. Or, people are doing what we do every once in a while where they're just mindlessly scrolling and they saw it, but they didn't act on it. And that's okay. So the things that you can control when it comes to engagement, time of day you're posting, scrolling with intention, so scrolling through Facebook and Instagram and making sure that you're commenting on posts, not just liking them, the types of posts you're posting, and your consistency. So I promise you that if you play around with the time of day, because everybody's most active time of day is going to be different. I think my most active time, I really think the average most active time for almost everybody in general is probably around lunchtime. Like around 11 or 12, that's probably going to be pretty good engagement for everyone. My really high traffic time of day, or when I notice a lot more people are online, is after 8, and that's just because I'm a mom, so my target audience or my target niche or whatever you want to call it are mostly moms. So after, 8 p.m., 8:30, kids are in bed, mom's settling down, and they're on Facebook or Instagram. And then I post sometimes first thing in the morning before 8:30 as well. And that is what it is. Sometimes I get really good hits on that. Sometimes I don't, depending on what the content of that post is. And that's just because sometimes I can't post when I'm here if it's not something super personal. So if it's about my kid or my family or asking for a recommendation, that's something that I can do during the day here. But if it has anything to do with a business of mine outside of Tucker, I have, before 8:30 and after 4. So sometimes I have to get a post out, and I know people are seeing it, but they might not be commenting on it. So sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes you can't control the time. Like you have, at this specific time, you have to post, or you're not going to be able to get that post out during the day, and that's fine. So still push it out there. One little tip, and I might touch on this next time as well, but if somebody comments on your post, like let's say you have 25 comments on a post, the first 7 you respond to pretty immediately. Somebody comments, you say thank you, or you respond back to them immediately. Take a break from the next 10 and don't respond to them immediately, because if you respond back 3 hours later to those next 10, that's boosting that post one more time in people's news feeds. So it's pushing it out even more, and you'll get more likes, you'll get more eyes on that post, you'll get more comments. And then sometimes I even wait 24 hours to finish commenting and responding back to the last 15. And then because that boosts that post again 24 hours later, which is good, because then you're going to get more eyes on that post. So think about that too, but you have to, if somebody's commenting on your post, no matter what, you have to respond back, but just kind of strategically play that out on how you're responding back and when you're responding back. Is that it? Nope. Okay, so next time. This is going to be a really big one, and I highly encourage you guys to attend this one, because I think this will really help understand how we leave engagement, how we reciprocate it, how we give it, how we get it, how to leave meaningful comments on Instagram and Facebook, because there is, I'm not going to tell you the number because I want you to come back next week, but there is a certain amount of words that you need to leave on a comment on Instagram that Instagram deems as engagement. I'm not going to tell you what that number is because I want you to come back. But there is a certain number of words that you have to leave to make it an actual comment that Facebook and that Instagram sees as engagement. I have not, it hasn't been proven to me that Facebook is the same way yet, but, I mean, we have to remember that Facebook owns Instagram, so there has to be some sort of correlation there. I just haven't read about it yet. And then obviously the biggest question that I always get is, how do I increase engagement? So we will talk about all of that and probably a lot more next time.
Until then, though, your challenge for the next month, because that's when our next webinar on Engagement 102 is going to be, is to start really using these principles of engagement, of not just liking, of commenting, of replying to everyone, even kind of if it's just an okay or thanks, but the more words, the better. So take this next month to be better about that. Challenge yourself to reply, to think about when you're posting and the times and when you're getting the most engagement back, and kind of be really intentional about trying to work up your engagement levels over this next month. And then next month for our Engagement 102, you can see if what you've been doing has been helping. We'll give you some more ideas on what to do and how to improve upon what you've been doing for this last month.
One thing that is a lot of people that they don't really realize that this counts as engagement, but when people write on your wall for your birthday, you really should respond back to every single one of those people, even if it's, I know you're just saying thank you, but if you can find something personal to connect with that person on, like how's the new house, if it was a past client, how's the new baby, how was your trip, how was spring break, if your birthday's, anytime soon. But if you're only liking those comments that people are leaving on your page and then putting up a blanket post the next day saying, you should do this as well, but thanks so much for the birthday messages, I really appreciate it, you're missing out on so much potential engagement that Facebook's going to see as engagement, and that Facebook will realize that you're an active account, etc. You're missing out on a ton. So you really need to be responding back to every single one of those comments, and you can switch it up. You can say thanks so much, you can say thank you, you can start mini conversations within there, but just if you have a birthday within the next month, that is definitely something that you need to think about as well. Okay.
Awesome point.
I think that's all I have for you. If you don't have questions, great. If you do, you know where to find me. Otherwise, we will see you back here next month in May for Engagement 102. Have a great Monday.